Friday, everybody. Welcome back to the Fumble Live. Thanks for tuning in today. We are getting into a discussion about Giannis and what might be missing on the Bucks. We're also talking about some not so nice things Danny Green had to say about the Sixers fan base and how another person decided to criticize him for it. But before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
Ooh, happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter @JRayTheFanatic. Trying to get my...
Now, Jackie, are you in a new setup here? Your lighting looks great. Your background looks great. What's going on?
So I have two walls. I have my LeBron wall, and then I have my Fanatic Productions wall. And so for the Fumble, I don't want to have to tape things down and up. So today I'm just trying it on the Fanatic Productions wall and trying to make the Fumble cover. So it's working. I think this way is better.
Yeah, it looks great. Your lighting looks great. I think this looks like the spot. I feel like you found it.
Yeah.
So Jackie, before we get into the news, what are you getting up to this weekend? Do you have any big plans?
So, I have all kinds of plans. My best friend graduated from college. Well, I think this is her first degree. She has an associate. So she's graduated from college. I was in Denver when she graduated. So we're going to go to a shooting range, an open shooting range, clear out in Santa Clarita. Then we're going to go to brunch, and then we're going to do bowling night. So we're going to have a full day. But today, I need you guys to make sure you just go to iTunes, Spotify, whatever, and listen to my podcast, because yesterday I got to interview Olympic high jumper Rachel McCoy. So I need you guys to go and check out my podcast. It is my first Olympian that I've ever interviewed. I was so excited, and she killed it. She's such a great interview. I'm so excited. So make sure you check it out. Look for At the Half with Jackie Ray. I'll probably put the link in here at some point, but make sure you check it out. It's going to come on at 4 p.m. today.
Oh my gosh, Jackie, so you didn't jinx it yesterday. I love that. I'm so excited that you were able to do that. Congratulations. I can't wait to listen.
There's supposed to be two. So it was a skateboarder, an Olympic skateboarder, but he couldn't come through. He's going to try to be on next week. So I'll let you know if I can get the Olympic skateboarder as well. So yeah. Super exciting. And I wasn't a pro at bowling. I was an amateur bowler. I paid for college bowling. I could have probably gone pro, but I didn't think about it.
Damn, that's cool. I feel like you're a woman of many talents. I don't know how you do so many things so well. She's a singer. She's a producer. She can edit. She's a bowler. She's a host. So many things. I need to get on your level, Jackie. I'm definitely paling in comparison. But Jackie, another thing. Oh, so what time does that come out on Spotify? Really quickly. Did you say 1 p.m.?
4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's called At the Half with Jackie Ray. If you just put in Jackie Ray, my albums will probably come up. So you have to put in At the Half with Jackie Ray. It'll come up. Or just go to my Instagram, click the link tree, and click At the Half. You'll find it. Super excited about this.
Yay, congratulations. Super exciting. I am driving to Vegas for a bachelorette party, so that'll be some good listening material while I drive. So thank you for letting me know about that. And for those of you in the chat, go ahead and check that out today. Now, let's jump into the news. I want to talk about Giannis, because last night I felt very bad for Giannis. So Game 2 of the NBA Finals did not pan out for Giannis and the Bucks in the way that they hoped it would. They started off with the lead, and then the Suns took control of the game before halftime and entered the third quarter with a double-digit lead. And what was weird about it is that it didn't seem like any of Giannis's supporting cast was leveling up or stepping up in the way that they needed to. But Giannis was doing all of the heavy lifting. He was putting in 110%. He had a history-making night. And he was doing that all while coming off of an injury, but still being able to put up 110% and basically carry the team. Just as an example of the effort that he has been putting in, he outperformed Kobe and LeBron for most points scored in a finals quarter over the last 25 seasons. He put up 20 points in a single quarter, and the most that had been done before that in the last 25 seasons was from Kobe and LeBron, who each put up 19. And then in the finals, he's averaging 31.5 points, 14.5 rebounds, and 4 assists. And so those are some pretty impressive numbers. And I think that it means a whole lot more because so much of Giannis's reputation and legacy was sort of riding on him being able to get to the finals. Plus, this injury. He was just out for the last, 2 games of the Eastern Conference Finals, and now he's back in there, and he's just the one holding everything up for the Bucks. This is the kind of performance that we've been hoping to see out of Giannis. We want him to be aggressive. We want him to be that superstar for the Bucks, and yet he's in a position right now where I think an issue that's kind of glaringly obvious is that he doesn't have a co-star. And I feel like right now what we're seeing is these incredible performances by him, and it's sort of wasting away because he doesn't have the support that he needs around him, or something's going on. I don't even really know what it is, but up until this season, Giannis was the kind of guy that sort of needed to validate his reputation by making it to the finals. He's here now, and it's sort of dwindling away right before our eyes, and it's clear that he is a superstar that definitely needs a little bit of help. And this loss was, of course, a pivotal one for the Bucks because now the Suns are just 2 games away from their first title, so they have this steep advantage going for them. And when you watch the Suns, Chris Paul and Devin Booker really know how to step up when it matters most, and that's exactly what they did last night, whereas it seemed like Giannis was handling things largely alone. And even with that 42-point game that he had, they still walked away with the loss. Jackie, do you agree that we're kind of entering a new phase of this Giannis narrative, that he is proving to be the superstar that we hoped he could, but he just doesn't have the help that he truly needs on the Bucks?
No, I don't agree with that. And I'll tell you why. Because Giannis, he dominated in the paint, which is what he's supposed to do. But he also, when you are Giannis and your go-to is bully ball, I said that before, I'm not mad at that, but you need to be more all around. You need to be more versatile. When that's your go-to, you have to realize that sometimes you do clog the lane. And when you clog the lane, that prevents other people from making plays. You shouldn't be averaging 5 assists per game. You had 4 assists last night. You should be averaging probably 10 assists a game because you need to get people involved. Regardless of what people want to say, the fact of the matter is we saw that these guys can play really, really well together when they know their roles and they know what they're supposed to do. There is some confusion that happens when Giannis is on the floor. So because that happens when he's on the floor, it is his job to get everyone else involved. And he's not doing that. And I see people in the chat saying Chris Middleton played horrible last night. He did. I forget. I think he had something. He was like 6 for 14. I know his percentage was horrible. I will agree with that. But there was a couple of things that they could have done better. Number one, they let the Suns dictate the pace. They were fast-paced the entire time. The Suns were moving 100 miles an hour, and so were the Bucks. The Bucks needed to take a minute, slow down, regroup, play at their own pace, not play the game that the Suns were playing. They shouldn't have done that. Giannis, again, he needs to, and I appreciate because he was on the sidelines. We'll see that later. But he was on the sidelines trying to get people involved. That's great vocally, but just the same criticism I give to Kawhi. You have to be vocal and you have to be a leader on the floor. You have to pull guys in. PJ Tucker's never going to get you the points that you want. That's not his job. But he didn't even get the rebounds that you wanted him to get last night. His job is to go out there and get 10, 11 rebounds, and he only got 5 rebounds last night, 1 assist. He's supposed to be the assist guy. He's supposed to be the rebound guy. These guys have no idea who they are on the floor when Giannis is there. And that is a coach Budenholzer problem to me. This is something you're supposed to coach them out of. Everybody is supposed to know exactly what they're supposed to do. When they don't know what they do and they start failing mentally, you're supposed to step them up. This is not a lack of talent problem. This is we don't know who the hell we are when Giannis is on the floor problem. And we don't have a coach that's going to talk us out of that. The talent is there. It's just not being executed. And again, they could have slowed down the pace a little bit. He could have brought more guys in. Somebody should have called Chris to the side and said, Chris, what's up, my guy? That guy that you were a couple games ago, I need you to be that guy right now. Nobody does that. You're just barking out orders to me and saying, let's come on, let's go. Let's go where? What's our plan when Giannis is here? I do put a lot of this on the coach. Again, I know that's we're used to the leader on the floor kind of dictating the pace and kind of being the assistant coach. Giannis is not that guy. So we have to put everything square on the coach's shoulders for this one. And I'm telling you, I say this every time. Now I feel like it could easily be Suns in 4, because if they go back to Milwaukee and they let the Suns dictate this same pace and they go 100 miles an hour and Giannis isn't pulling other guys in, they're going to win that first game in Milwaukee, and then it's a wrap. If they go up 3, it's a wrap. You can just call it. You don't even have to watch game 4.
Yeah, I see a lot of what you're saying here, Jackie, but I do think that once we saw Giannis on the floor, he did have a sense of urgency about him that I feel like we don't typically see out of him, and that's evident in that sideline huddle moment that you're going to be telling us about in the post-up. But it seems like as the Eastern Conference Finals were wrapping up, we sensed that urgency in the Bucks when Giannis wasn't with them, but then suddenly he's back on the floor and it's gone. And I do think that Coach Mike does need to be responsible for kind of instilling that in the team, but at the same time, there needs to be a little bit of self-motivation there, and it's bizarre because it almost seems like it's not there. Do you understand what I mean when I say that?
I definitely do, but I still think it's a lack of identity. Brooke Lopez had 33 points in game 5. You know what I mean? So Brooke Lopez, 33 points. He was barely relevant last game. You know, the Suns had all of their starters were in double digits. I think only 3 of the Bucks were in double digits, and Chris had 11 points. Chris needs to be consistently scoring 23 to 25 points per game. A bad night for him needs to be like 18 points. That needs to be a bad night. 11 points should never happen. We see that he's capable of that when he's not with Giannis. They haven't developed this Batman and Robin thing yet. I think that Chris is definitely a good wingman. He would definitely be good supporting help to somebody else who knew how to make him a good number 2. The Bucks have a solid number 1 in Giannis, but they haven't given everyone. The reason why everyone played so great when Giannis wasn't on the floor is because they all felt empowered to do so. They all felt like, hey, this is our time. We can step up. That feeling does not carry over when Giannis is on the floor. I don't know why. It's not my job to know why. It's the coach's job to know why and to address that and to make sure these guys have the same empowerment whether Giannis is on the floor or not. What we saw last night was a lack of knowing who they are when Giannis is on the floor. And again, that's a coaching problem.
Yeah, I agree. It does seem like there is that lack of identity there. And I think what we're noticing a lot, especially in this postseason, is that there are athletes who rely too heavily on the superstar. You know, we see it with Paul George and how he thrives with Kawhi not on the floor. Now we're seeing it with the Bucks. They know exactly what to do when Giannis isn't there, but as soon as they have the 2-time MVP up there, this big guy, you know, it's suddenly like it just probably, I think, feels like a weight is being lifted off of their shoulders and then placed squarely on Giannis's shoulders. Looking at this game last night, I personally would love to see Giannis actually moving somewhere else. Do you think that he would be a better fit on a different team, and is it time that he starts maybe considering other options?
No, I think the Bucks need to consider another coach, which again, I know they're not going to do that, because when you really sit down and you look at the talent that's in Milwaukee, again, this should not be happening. Giannis, every interview that I've criticized him on, he has proven that he is the guy that's going to do exactly what the coach says, which to me kind of proves my point. Because when he's on the floor, it sucks the wind out of everybody, because I feel like Coach Budenholzer is over there like, just give Giannis the ball. Giannis, do this. Giannis. I feel like Giannis, his name is said too much in that huddle. Too much in that locker room. You're not empowering other guys. Guys need to feel like they're just as valuable. Sure, every team has a superstar. In cases like with LeBron, you don't have to really worry about whether Frank Vogel is going to empower the guys, because we see when LeBron is mic'd up, he's empowering guys. He's giving them, you know, you're great. You need to believe you're the blah, 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 blah. He's instilling them with all this encouragement. Giannis is pretty quiet. You know, he kind of just listens a lot. So when he does finally get vocal, I don't know, when you guys see this video, you'll see Drew, he's over there like, But it's more like that nod you give when you're in a meeting and you just want the meeting to be over and you hope nobody asks questions at the end. You're like, It's not like he's really invested in it and he's just like, okay, he's getting fired up or pumped up. You got to be a motivational speaker to these guys sometimes. And if Giannis doesn't play that role all the time, doing it now when everything is on the line, it's not going to carry the same weight. It just doesn't. This is a all around, nobody knows who they are problem.
Oh, it's frustrating because I'd like to see Giannis experience some success, but I do want to say I said it was going to be the Suns from the start, and I'm standing by that, especially now that we're 2 games in. Let's move on. I want to talk about Danny Green, Jackie's favorite player. If you guys didn't know, Jackie is a huge fan of Danny Green.
Dude.
So Sixers fans are notoriously a very passionate bunch, and sometimes that's a great thing and sometimes it's not. So Danny Green appeared on the Takeoff with John Clark podcast on Thursday, and he talked about how the Philadelphia fan base can impact players, including somebody like Ben Simmons, and he was actually very critical of the way the diehards respond to things that happen in games and players and all of that. He said, quote, "It has an effect on everybody, and I think that's something that needs to change in the city. I love our fans, but when things aren't going well, they can't turn on you. That's the one thing I would disagree with or dislike. Some guys use it as motivation. Some guys have a chip on their shoulder, but I think that needs to change. They need to be riding with us regardless of how things are going," which is kind of funny coming from Danny Green, considering how the Lakers fan base was so heavily critical of him last season. It's funny that he's over here now criticizing the Sixers fan base because of how it might impact Ben Simmons. He said, quote, "We're the #1 team in the East, still playing well, and in some games they'll boo us. That's part of the culture here, part of their way of showing they love us. But with a guy like Ben and other guys, I think they need to stick behind them and stick by them as long as they can until the horn blows. And even then, he's here. He's given so much to the organization and the city on and off the court that he deserves that respect and that support." And then he kind of closed his sentiments about the Sixers fan base saying, "Protect us, encourage us, stand by us like we stand by you, regardless of wins and losses." Now, let's get that tweet up here. Jackie, I like that you had to specify that you're not a Green fan in the chat. I'm really sorry that I said that. People clearly don't know that's a joke. But let's get the tweet up there. So Glenn Macnow said, "Danny Green has been in town for 10 minutes and wants to police Sixers fans on supporting their team. These fans hung through 4 years of tanking, supported Ben through all of this nonsense, and lived through disasters of Fultz, Okafor, etc. Bad look for players to lecture fans." Now, Jackie, what's your reaction to Danny Green sort of speaking critically about his team's fan base? Was that an appropriate thing to do?
I don't like when people do this, when players do this, because you're not going to get fans to act a different way ever. That's never going to happen. They're going to be how they're going to be. And here's the thing. When we're talking about Ben Simmons, commentators, sports analysts have been critical of Ben Simmons since his second year. Well, technically his third year because he was hurt that first one. But his second year of play, and the criticism started, and he started declining. So it's not like, but the fan base rocked with him. I used to see Sixers fans all the time talking about, you guys don't know, he does what he does great. He's great defensively. They have been riding with him. But 3 years of declining, you expect them to ride the whole time? That's just not who fans are. That's not who people are. And if you need somebody to just encourage you all the time, you need a therapist. That is not the fans' job. The fans want to win, and the fans are going to point out the obvious. There's a lot of problems. Well, I don't want to say a lot, but there are a few other problems with the Sixers. But the fact of the matter is Ben Simmons is going to get the spotlight because he is the #2 guy. Period. And when you're the #2 guy, quite frankly, put as the equal, sometimes you're even considered the co-#1. Sometimes in Philly, they don't even say he's a #2. He's the co-#1 guy. Then, that's just what happens. And he needs to, and it's funny to me that Danny Green is saying this now. I don't really know a lot of what Ben Simmons does off the court, for that city. I just don't know. I'm sure he does a lot. He seems like he's cool, but whatever. I don't know what he does for that city. I'm sure he does a lot. But Danny Green, was it a week ago, was just on another podcast talking about everything Ben Simmons needs to do to get better. He literally was doing the same thing that he is criticizing this fan base for doing, saying that somebody needs to get better. If you can't take that, if you're the kind of player that can't take people saying, yo, your game is trash, you need to get better, then you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing this, period. Because that comes with the game. And trust me, Ben Simmons, you are not the most hated basketball player in the league. So you need to man up, my guy.
It really is funny because Danny Green not only said that Ben Simmons needs to get better, but he criticized his work ethic too. He criticized Ben's work ethic and said that he just doesn't really try. He just does what he's good at. So very hypocritical here. I think it's pretty funny that he would actually come out here and say something like that. I don't feel like it's a good look, and I agree with Glenn Macnow when he says that it's a bad look for players to lecture fans. That being said, Jackie and I do live for the moments that, you know, they players approach a fan in the audience, but it's usually from an opposing team. It's not typically from their fan base. But, you know, I think that that's kind of funny. But to sit here on a podcast where there's really no opportunity for people to challenge what you're saying and to criticize a fan base for booing at Ben Simmons when Danny Green, in maybe a more polite way, did the same exact thing a week ago is pretty funny. I mean, do you feel like...
I'm always going to remember that moment in time when Patriots fans who have won every single year for a while, they were as Patriots in the Super Bowl, and then the one time they weren't, they booed. I'll never forget that as long as I live. Fans are fickle, and then that's just, it is what it is. Welcome to professional sports, Ben Simmons. If you can't handle it, I don't know what to tell you. Start a cooking business.
I think it's also welcome to professional sports, Danny Green, because he's been in the league long enough to know that this is what happens, whether you like it or not. So Danny Green's been doing a lot of podcasting lately. Do you think that this is maybe going to get him in trouble? Could he be creating tension within his own team by going on these public platforms and speaking negatively about his teammates and the fans?
I don't think so. I think, you know, it's one of those things that it kind of comes, somebody might call him to the side and say, hey, you know, pick a side. Either you don't like the fans or you do, but pick a side. I think it's anytime you can get, and I know that's kind of a Jerry Jones sentiment, but anytime people are talking about your team, it's not a bad thing. He's not doing anything that's bringing any kind of negative attention to the team. He's just kind of saying things how he sees it. It does almost seem like Ben Simmons called him after the last interview he did and was like, you hurt my feelings, bro. And then he went on this podcast and tried to fix it. But, you know, that's the only thing that I would say to Danny Green is pick a side. You can't say on one podcast that he just flat out wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. He let things that were bothering him off the court bother him on the court, and he didn't step up for us. And then on the next podcast, be like, well, you know, the fans were a little hard on him. Pick a side, stay consistent. Clearly, Danny Green wants a career in broadcasting. I think that's why he's doing all these. Jerry Jones is not the GOAT. I think that's why he's doing all these podcasts, is to kind of solidify, hey, I can talk on air. But I don't know if he's trying to be Skip Bayless, where he's just trying to say, let me say the most inflammatory thing I can think of. Because that first statement he made, we talked about it. This statement that he made, we're talking about it. Maybe it's a plan. Maybe he wants to be the next Stephen A.
Maybe. Not a big fan. I don't even know what to say to that. But if that's what he's gearing up to do, like, let's get a little bit more practice going, because the way that he's doing it, like almost kind of saying something and walking back on it in a weird way, like that's not a Stephen A move. That's not a Skip Bayless move. You got to stick to your guns. If you're going to sit there and criticize Ben Simmons, do it fully and do it a lot more harshly, and then maybe people will listen. All right. Well, Jackie, that wraps up Need to Know News. So let's take it to the post up.
Yes, let's get to the post up. I am excited about this post up, especially the last one, because I'm so excited to get to that. So I'm going to try my best not to just speed through all of these. But you guys, we've already been talking about Giannis and, you know, him being kind of vocal on the sideline. We all saw that. So let's take a look at this moment in time. I was actually glad to see this, but let's take a look at this moment in time. If we could throw up that very first. So animated. Like, okay. PJ Tucker's not even paying attention. PJ Tucker waits for Giannis to sit down, and then he leans over to Drew and be like, bruh, whatever he said. His teammates are not hanging on his every word. And the reason why they're not hanging on his every word is because, number one, he doesn't usually do this. Number two, I do, in my heart of heart, feel like subconsciously they feel like they're better without him. And even if they don't think it in a, I'm not saying they think it in an animosity type of way, like, oh, we wish Giannis wasn't here. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they're looking at themselves like, damn, we really did play better as a team without him, you know, because they all knew, like I said, they all knew who they were. So it's one of those things where it was great to see Giannis in that moment. I believe it would have had more of an impact if that was who he was consistently. But the fact that he's not that person consistently, I feel like the team was annoyed by it. Personally, what do you think, Devin?
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same thing. I did a video about this morning. I think it's already up on our channel, but I noticed that same thing. His teammates are disinterested. They're kind of bored. They're not really paying that much attention. And it's unusual to see Giannis looking so riled up. And, you know, remember when Steph was doing the same thing that one time, and he was all like so expressive and angry and enthusiastic, and we don't have the same expectations. What was that?
We all giggled like, oh, he's so mad. He's so mad.
Angry. But yeah, of course with Steph, we don't hold him to that same standard, because Steph, I think, leads in his own way. He still does have a bit more of a leadership quality about him without being the guy that's like yelling at his teammates in the huddle. But it was still unusual to see Steph in that situation, just as it's super unusual to see Giannis like this. And I sort of feel like they're thinking like, man, we've been needing somebody to step up and be this vocal leader for a long time. And for you to start now in game 2 of the finals, like, why would we even listen? Especially because they did perform so well without him on the court. So, yeah, I mean, I thought watching this, it was awkward and a little uncomfortable to see just how disinterested they seemed.
Yeah, even with Steph, I felt like his teammates were kind of like, oh, because like you said, he's very vocal. We see him eyes up, pointing at stuff he's very vocal, but he's just not angry vocal. So when he got mad, everybody was like, oh, okay.
Like, oh,
you know what I mean?
Angry.
Right. He mad, so it kind of took him back. But with Giannis, people were just like, so yeah, so what you doing after the game, bro? You want to play Fortnite? Like, it wasn't even like they were paying him any attention. It was awful.
I know.
But Twitter obviously
Oh, sorry, Jackie. I just want to say, I think this is indicative of the full lack of leadership that Giannis has had throughout his entire time with the Bucks. Because, like you just said, we can point out all these different ways that Steph does lead and how he does hype his teammates up. And Giannis, we just haven't gotten that from him. So this moment is just like, it's a whole culmination of everything that's been lacking with Giannis as a superstar of the Bucks. Anyway, what was Twitter saying? I want to hear about their responses.
Let's go into what Twitter was saying, because this one, like somebody just said in the chat, Giannis did everything. He did do everything, but he didn't empower his team to do other stuff too. But this tweet, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this sentiment. So it says, he should be talking to himself. He can't make a jump shot and he's still airballing free throws. First of all, number one, 42 points. That's number one. Number two, the Suns fans were not doing 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi when they were doing that counting to 10. They were like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, they were counting so fast. But his release has sped up. He is hitting more free throws. He's not 100%, but most people aren't. Only Steph is close, So don't do that about the free throws. And yes, he does need to work on his outside shot, but that's not something you bring up when the man scores 42 points. That's silly. All right, so let's go. This is another tweet I have. This one is at the top pretty much agrees with me. Says Giannis has to coach the team because Budenholzer is incapable of making any type of adjustments. Dude could not figure out how to get Giannis 35 plus minutes in the Brooklyn series. He's so bad. And then this person on the bottom is addressing same thing we all say. They won without him. Maybe he's the problem. I don't think he's the problem the same way in that I think Kawhi is a problem. I think it's more of they don't know who they are when he's on the floor. That is a coachable thing. But again, do we have faith in Coach Mike to do that? I personally don't. So let's go on to this next one, because I personally think the basketball gods, the Suns, are aligning for the Suns to win it. And I'm not mad at that. We all know CP3 definitely deserves it. He's been on a very long road just to get to this moment in time. We all know how loved and endeared Coach Monty Williams is. So I'm not mad if this actually happens. I don't have a dog in this race, so whoever wins, I'm cool with. I can say that my heart will beat a little faster if it's the Suns, because I do think both of these men deserve this. But I 100% agree with this user. So let's get up this first tweet, because after this, I'm going to show you this video. It says, y'all really had the audacity to give Tibbs the coach of the year. Shaking my head. This is how you coach young men. I want you to take a listen, because Coach Monty did his thing on this one. So I want you guys to take a look at this video. And this is coaching, y'all. This is coaching.
This is the deal. One, you're getting back in transition. You don't have Giannis find a man and be a guard. Two, look at me. You set a high level for yourself. That's why you're down. That's great. Now go reach that level. Okay? And you can reach it with force. Doesn't have to be stats all the time. Go dominate the game with force. Okay? Because you set a high level for yourself. Go dominate the game with force. Let's go.
That almost got me a little, like, because, you know, DeAndre was over there all in his feelings, feeling like he wasn't doing well and he had his head down. Coach Monty was like, no, you set a high standard for yourself. That's why you feel like you're low. Look at me. And that's the most important thing in the world. Make that eye contact. Look at me. I'm talking to you. You need to understand that I need you to go out here and do a job. That's some dope coaching. This is why I agree with this next user very well, because sometimes it's just easier to relate to somebody who is relatable to you. So if we can post this next tweet up, it said, if this video doesn't show teams why we need more black head coaches, then I give up. That's an actual thing, because DeAndre was all in his head. You need somebody that you can relate to get you out of that, period, no matter who that is. And sometimes, especially when you talk about black men and in professional sports, a lot of them, what they've come from is not the best of circumstances. They need somebody relatable to get them out of their head, because once you fall into your head, you don't just fall into this moment in time. You fall into all those other moments in times that came before. I thought this was absolutely dope. This definitely makes it hard for me. I'm not rooting. I'm literally, my poor neighbors must be like, who is she going for? I'm literally rooting for whoever got the ball. You know, so because I love Devin Booker. I love CP3. I am falling in love with Chris Middleton. I've always loved Giannis, and despite what y'all say. So it's just, you know, it's not exciting for me, but it's just like, oh, yay, good job. Yay, good job. That's all I'm pretty much doing. But all right, let's go on to this next one. Because this next one is interesting as well too. So stop and frisk is a thing in America, and apparently it's nationwide. So I want you guys to just take a look. And James Harden, bless his heart, he was like, I don't understand. Take a look at this video. I felt so bad for him in that moment, because you could just see on his face, like he was legit, like, I don't understand. Like, what is happening? Why are you guys frisking me? What is going on? I just saw the video on Instagram. I didn't know exactly what had happened, but I was just furious. I'm like, who the hell stops and frisks James Harden? What are you doing? Then 106 in Park posted what actually happened. So they have this tweet that kind of explained the situation, which kind of still irritated me a little bit. So if we could throw this one up as well. Says, according to multiple reports, Lil Baby was arrested in Paris for transporting what Parisian police have said to be 20 grams of marijuana. 20 grams? That seemed hella light. Okay, but James Harden was not taken into custody after police stopped 3 individuals at 33 Avenue. So I'm assuming 20 grams, though? What's that like? That's 2 dime bags, right? Like, what are we talking about right now?
This is going to make me seem really innocent, but I can't even picture what 20 grams would look like of anything, so I don't know if that's a lot or not.
So don't know. This doesn't make you look any kind of way because I Googled it. I was like, what is 20 grams in relation to pounds? And it's 0.004 pounds. So then when I saw that, because I can make pounds make sense, right? So Zen Master says it's 3/4 of an ounce. For real? Why are we getting arrested for that? So anyway, so this is one of those guilty by association situations. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out here doing my thing. Clearly, I'm not. So no, Jay says it's half an ounce. Okay, but still, so half an ounce, 3/4 of an ounce. That don't seem like. Okay, so yeah, my weed math is jacked up because I don't do it like that. So thank you for pointing out the obvious. I'm trying to ask y'all. So either way, if it's half an ounce or 3/4 of an ounce, it's very, very light. But is it an arrest? Is it we arresting people for something that light?
I mean, I guess in Paris they are, but that doesn't seem like a reasonable approach to that small amount of marijuana. I don't know. I can't make sense of it, but I don't know what Parisian, weed laws are. So I have no idea. But I think what we need to do is legalize weed across the world because it's clearly not, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I think the world needs to channel their inner Amsterdam. That's what we need to do. We all need to be like Amsterdam. Damn it.
Yes.
Because that was weird for me. I did not like that. And then I think I have one more tweet where somebody said the same thing. Because, 20 grams. Wow, big bust. So, either way, whether my math is jacked up or your math is right, it's not a lot. That just seems like a waste of paperwork and waste of taxpayers' money to be in. I'm assuming they're, I don't know. Whatever was happening in Paris, it wasn't right. I don't like it. It's annoying. But this next thing I love. It's not annoying. It makes me quite happy. Because let me just tell you guys this. LeBron James is on his way to become a billionaire. For as far as endorsements as what athletes make, he's not the highest paid athlete as far as endorsements. The first one is tennis player Roger Federer, and then Tiger Woods. I am surprised with everything that Tiger Woods has gone through. He is the number 2 paid athlete as far as endorsements. That's crazy to me. LeBron James is number 3. Still, to me, the fact that Tiger Woods is number 2 is still weird. But shouts out to Tiger. He owns a lot of things. He owns Fenway Sports, Blaze Pizza, Spring Hill Entertainment, Uninterrupted, and Ladder, which is a new thing that I just found out. I didn't know about Ladder, and I felt like I knew all things LeBron, but Ladder is a sports nutrition company. It's dedicated to creating high-performance workout supplements that you can use daily, which I am definitely going to look into that. You guys know I tried that Lobos tequila. Fantastic, by the way, and I just got the cheap one, and he's part owner in that. So check out this asset. I'm happy to say this. Check this out. LeBron James is expected to become a billionaire this year, according to Forbes. It's my biggest milestone, LeBron once said. He makes more off the court from his NBA contract. From his NBA contracts, find out what businesses LeBron is involved in. You guys can go read that article. I already saw somebody say something about Michael Jordan, and we're going to get to that because there's a tweet. Somebody said that this is a bigger achievement than what Michael Jordan made. So let's start at this one. Let's see what the hater said. Let's go. Finally, I saw you. This one's for you, you Jordan fan. Finally, Jordan been a billionaire since 2014. Fun fact, sir. Jordan was 51 when he became a billionaire. LeBron James was 36. So there.
I love that.
Right?
We have to remember that there is a big age gap between LeBron and Michael Jordan. So you're not going to sit there and be like, oh, yeah, well, MJ did that 7 years ago or whatever. It's like, okay, well, look at the ages. Look at how much time they've had to each accomplish all of these different things. Michael Jordan's had a lot more time. That's because he's an older guy.
All right. So I totally agree with that. I was so glad. I didn't have to take off on nobody on this one because the kingdom abound in every hate tweet that happened on this post. So I'm so proud of the kingdom. Y'all came and y'all represented. This next one, I understand this sentiment. So I didn't even come for this person because I understand it and I'm not mad at it. It makes sense. So let's post this next tweet up there. He said he should start taking less on his NBA contracts to help the team. I don't disagree with that. And let's just be clear, that's not outside the realm of possibility because he did do that in Miami. both him, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh all collectively took less money so they could play together. LeBron James would definitely do that again for the right teammate. There was talks that he would potentially do that for Kawhi, but Kawhi didn't come, so blah, blah, blah. So this one, he's so much better than his haters. So take a look at this one because I love this next tweet as well. He's a better man, player, father, American, and businessman than every one of his haters, and their constant desertion indicates that they are actually aware of this fact. Keep that in mind as I show you this next tweet. Or it's not even a tweet. Our producer, Arthi, sent me this. So these are the number of hate messages that athletes get across social media. As you can see there, LeBron James is number one by like a lot. He gets 122,568 hate messages on Instagram, Twitter, whatever, all social media last year. The next person only got 32,000. Tom Brady only got 28,000 and Kevin Durant 24. And your boy, Paul George ain't even on the top 9. So maybe he need to stop talking about how critical people are of him because you ain't even on this list, sir. That's insane when you see the amount of hate that LeBron James gets. That's crazy. And he never addresses any of it because he's a king. They don't need to address that kind of stuff. It's beautiful.
Can you imagine if I was receiving 122,000 hate messages? I would be a wreck. I wouldn't be able to get up in the morning. Like, that would be so painful for me. And you know what I also find really surprising about this is that Bubba Wallace sits at number 5 on that list. And we know how the whole Bubba Wallace thing really kind of activated the worst of the worst in the country. So I feel like that shows that LeBron, is the fact that LeBron gets more hate than Bubba Wallace when Bubba Wallace was really kind of like at the center of a lot of what was going on is pretty wild.
Yep. So let's go on to this next one. This one. This is why I love LeBron James. He's the greatest player to ever play in the NBA. I totally agree with that. Y'all know I agree with that. And I just had to throw it in there because I know it's going to make some of you mad and I'm petty like that. So let's move on to this next one because here again is Tampa Tom. He's the jokester and I love it. You guys know, maybe you don't know, the Tampa Bay Lightning are the winners of this year's Stanley Cup. Yay, Tampa Bay Lightning. But given that Tampa Tom is so fun loving now, the Stanley Cup had to say something to Tom Brady. So let's take a look at this tweet. So, let's go into post up number 7 and see the tweet directly from the Stanley Cup, which was funny because basically the Stanley Cup says, FYI, Tom, I'm too heavy to throw. And then Tom Brady says, I don't know, everything feels a bit lighter than the other trophies. So I love the jokester in Tampa Tom. I think this is great. Obviously, this is beautiful. Haters had something to say, so let's throw that next asset up there right now, if we can. He says, kind of like those lighter footballs you tried to use, huh? I saw you trying to play golf on TV the other day. Love the red hat. Did it by any chance have an arrow on it? Mahomes is going to run circles around all of your records before he's done. You have a good day. And then somebody said, win a real ring. You guys, let's just move on because I don't even have time for this kind of level of stupidity. Let's just move on. So this weekend, one of the other things, I'm probably not going to get a chance to see this. So I'm going to have somebody to tape it because you guys know, I have not missed a Conor McGregor fight ever. So to miss this one, I'm kind of sad because this is the tiebreaker between him and Dustin Poirier. And you guys remember he won the first one. We talked about the second one that he lost here on the show because he just was not ready for that fight at all. And I'm a little concerned about him going into this fight. And I don't know if this response, Ocho Cinco out here living his best life. So Chad Johnson got to ask Conor McGregor about the fight, listen to the question and how Conor answered it. Take a listen.
This question for Conor, Ocho Cinco would be our man. Quick question. Myself and the entire BR betting family be rocking with you Saturday night. And I want to hear from your mouth. Are you a lock?
I'm a lock, a shirt. I'm gonna kill this man.
I don't know. Doug asked me who you got, Jackie. Let me tell you. the way he looked in that last fight bothers me. So let me put up this next tweet because this is one of those things that I'm a little concerned about, how he looked the last one. So let's put up this next tweet that says, we heard him say that about Floyd and Khabib, and we all know what happened. And then somebody responded to that and said, well, yeah, but that was the Conor McGregor then. This is Conor McGregor now. Conor McGregor right now seems more about showboating than he does about actually fighting. I'm concerned. I want Conor McGregor, but I want him to win because I like him. Let me just be clear. I'm a Conor McGregor fan. I know he's said some questionable things in the past, but that's just part of his persona. I want him to win, but I am concerned. So do not tell me, because I'm gonna have to rush home and watch the fight after I get done with my shenanigans. Don't tell me. I'm just gonna stay off social media. We'll talk about it on Monday. But let's go into this last one here. Because this is a new fight and a new Conor. Why are you hating, basically? Because we've seen how bad Conor looked the last time. So we're a little concerned, but I don't know. You guys let me know who you got in the chat, because I don't want to call either fighter right now because, like I said, he doesn't look so good. But let me get into this next one, because this is the one that I wanted to spend some time on. I'm super excited. I want you guys to check out Miss Zaila Avant. She is the Guinness World Record holder for dribbling. I want to show you this, her doing her thing right now. Take a look.
Oh my gosh.
Right. I tried to get a video of her. That's crazy. And she does it. That specific video goes on for like 37 seconds, but it's still not the full video of her actually doing it. So she holds the Guinness World Record for dribbling. I think I have another picture of her dribbling on a unicycle or something crazy. So if we could throw this picture up. Yeah. So she's dribbling on a unicycle while also dribbling tennis balls. Come on. What? So
Gosh,
clearly, right?
A lot of coordination. Sorry. I just wanted to say, so much coordination. That's very impressive.
Right. And when I graduated, I had to concentrate on holding my diploma and not tripping down the stairs. I couldn't do all of this, you know? So she is doing it. And not only does she hold the Guinness World Record for dribbling, she can actually ball too. So I got a clip of her doing that as well. So let's check that out right now.
Working on a weekend like usual.
Girl is fire. She is so good. So she can dribble, she can ball. I don't know she's only 13, guys. So she's obviously going to be a quadruple threat, but she's also breaking some racial ceilings that have known to happen. So let me post this next one because this is so beautiful. The new coolest person in the world is 13-year-old Zaila Avant-garde, who is currently one of the final 2 spellers in the spelling bee and holds the Guinness World Record for most basketballs simultaneously. So this user posted it when she was the final 2. Let me show you her winning moment, though, you guys. Let me show you. This is fantastic.
Murraya. That is correct.
That is so beautiful. So she's athletic, she's smart. She is the first Black spelling bee champion. It's crazy. I never would have thought that she was the first, but she has the confidence now, because once you're the first at something and you realize, yo, I'm the first one to ever do this, she's going to be able to approach any obstacle in her way now. It's like, I did something amazing at 13. What you got for me now? I'm so excited. Like, if I was her mom, I'd be like, oh my God, I'd be crying. I'd be like such a mess.
I'm tearful right now. Like, this is so beautiful and moving, and she's a triple threat. I mean, the fact that she's athletic, intelligent, she seems very well spoken to based on what I've seen of her so far. It's just like really amazing. I don't know. I want to know who her parents are, because where did all these great genes come from?
Right. When I saw her little moment where she just spun around, I was like, oh my God, what is this substance falling from my eye? So I was like so excited for her. I just want to live in that moment. I'm probably going to be replaying that a lot. It's just a beautiful moment. So yes, I just want to once again, yay, congratulations. So proud of you. Definitely going to follow your journey. Somebody in the chat said she's probably going to go to the NBA, WNBA and win a championship, and she's the next Kyrie. I co-sign on all of that. Very, very happy for her. Okay, so let's get into this next one. This next one's going to be kind of quick for me. This is what we not gonna do, okay? I typically, for you guys who maybe are new here, I typically have this motto. It's a motto that my dad taught me. I don't disparage Black people in public. I might DM you, but I just don't do that in public because I think there's enough people disparaging us in the world. So I ripped Steven Jackson a new one for his I'm going to support Maria Taylor 1 minute. And then 25 minutes later, he went all lives matter and was saying, hey, Black people, we kill our own and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, what the hell just happened here? I ripped him a new one publicly. I did it on all of his social media. I usually don't do that, but I just didn't like the turncoat so quickly. So, but this is the reason why I don't do stuff like that, because now here Steven Jackson is again, and he's saying something that I kind of agree with the sentiment, but I don't agree with the sentiment. It's literally I'm on both sides of the fence on this one, and I think it's okay to be on both sides of the fence with this one. But I want you to hear what he's saying, because he is basically, now keep in mind, I just interviewed a Black Olympian who's on her way to Tokyo on the 20th. So obviously I have a different, especially talking to her about this. So make sure you go check out that interview. But listen to what he's saying. He wants Black people, not only Black viewers, but Black athletes to boycott the Olympics. So take a listen to what he has to say.
So everybody asking me, Jack, why you ain't made a video about the Olympics? I'm not in a position to tell people what to do, you know, and you can't tell somebody how to feed their family or how to provide for their family or the goals they want to achieve in life. But why even want to represent a country that don't love you? That's the question I ask. They gave gay people reparations, Asians reparations. We've been held behind over 500, 600 years. They can't even take the lynching act out. The George Floyd policing bill, they ignoring that. So why you even want to represent a country that's been showing you for years that they hate you, that they don't love you? Think about that. If y'all want to support Sha'Carri, if they don't let her run, everybody boycott the Olympics and see what the Olympics would be like without us. That's the question.
So again, I'm not mad at that sentiment, because I had the exact same sentiment with the NFL. And I still low-key have that sentiment, because here's what I believe in my heart. Whether you believe it or not doesn't matter to me. This is what I believe in my heart. The things that Black people are facing, this marching and crying and praying and rinsing and repeating with that narrative is not going to get it. It's going to take something drastic. We're going to have to do something drastic to make people really listen. The NFL, $1 billion a year industry. It's predominantly Black. You stop playing, what they're going to do? All of a sudden, you're going to make people listen. So I agree with that. This is a little different for me for a couple of reasons. Number one, this only happens once every 4 years. So it's not like if they boycott this year, they can go ahead and play next year. That's not a thing. And we're talking about countries all over the world. I can tell you for a fact, because with the swim caps, that's the International Olympic Committee that was like, oh no, it doesn't fit the natural form of the head. That should let you know right there. People don't care about any Black issues internationally, and they damn sure don't care about Black issues in America. So when you pull out, because what would have to happen in order for this to make sense, it couldn't just be Black Americans pulling out. It would have to be Black people across the world coming together and pulling out and saying, hey, the plight of our brothers in one country is the plight of our brothers everywhere. I don't think I'm going to live to see that day. But if I do, I'm just know I'm going to be at the front of the line being like, yes, finally. But that's what it would take for us to really make headway internationally. Because trust me when I tell you, Black people across the globe are facing some type of racism. Here in the United States, I understand Steven Jackson's thought process. Why do you want to represent a country that is yet to represent you? I talked to the chief of police in Long Beach, and I told them, because they out there, they disproportionately stop Black people. They're aware of this. His response was, we're going to try to curb that by doing what's constitutional. We're going to abide by the Constitution. Well, fun fact, friends, the Constitution still allows for slavery by way of incarceration. Why do you think that it's predominantly Black people in prison? Because the Constitution allows for slavery if you're incarcerated. So when you say we're going to do what's constitutionally allowed, what the hell are you saying? So I understand his sentiment, but we are also talking about Black athletes who have worked to overcome. If you guys listen to that interview that I had with Rachel McCoy, one of the things she said was, hey, you guys are seeing it from the spectator side, but we've had conversation, no matter what, we've had conversations. So when you see the International Olympic Committee say, hey, we don't want to let you have this swim cap that actually is specifically designed for you because your hair is different, you guys hear that and you get up in arms, but we have to hear that and say, hey, damn, now we have to overcome this and we have to figure out a way to overcome this. So you guys are spectating it. We are living through it and we are still fighting and we're still going out here and showing that we're the best at what we do. And for us, it's about constantly proving that. I understand both sides of it and I get that sentiment. My dad definitely instilled that to me. Always told me you're going to have to work twice as hard to get half the credit, but you've got to be the best at everything you do in that room, especially if you're the only Black person in that room, because you got to represent for the entire race. But aren't we tired? Aren't we just a little bit tired of always having to say, okay, they put this obstacle in front of us. We're going to have to hurdle over that and still be the best, even though they're trying to stopping us from being the best. Doesn't that get exhausting? So I get both sides of it. There's no way I'm going to let young people go to the Olympics because my first thought was like, no, I don't want to watch it. But there's so many Black people that are going to be in the Olympics that it would be, I can't turn my back on that many Black people. I just can't do it. You know, especially Black people who have worked so hard. I get the sentiment. If you're a Black person and you're like, no, I can't support it. I get that because I still side with Stephen Jackson on that one. Why are we supporting a country that doesn't want to support us? That's why I don't stand for the anthem. It wasn't written for me. That's a fact. However you feel about it, we were enslaved when that anthem came about. And the person who wrote it was a racist who hated Black people. That song was not written for me. So I have no connection to it. I understand that sentiment, but what choice do we have? We can't just abandon all these Black people that are actually working hard to overcome said obstacles to be the best that they can be and show the world that they're the best that they can be at it. They're displaced Africans who happen to live in America. We can't turn our backs on them. I'm not mad at you if you're one of those Black people that fall on the side of I'm not watching it, but what does that do? That's my question. We can't just keep marching and praying and not watching something on TV with no plan. If you have no plan, you plan to fail. Not watching something is not going to push our narrative. Stephen Jackson's right. Not showing up would push our narrative. But then are we really ready to say, hey, you've worked this hard to get something that only comes around 4 years and we just don't want you to go? I don't think that's fair. I really don't. So what we're not going to do is not support these young people. Let's not forget that these are young people that are out here doing the best that they can at the sport that they love at an elite level. We are not going to not support them. We're not going to do that. We're going to support them and we're going to continue to fight here when they get back. That's what we're going to do.
Well said, Jackie. I stand by everything that you said, and I think that the big takeaway that we can get from everything that's been going on recently is that this is a very complicated issue, and there is no clear-cut solution. And there are a number of different ways to attack it and handle it, but definitely progress needs to be made. So thank you so much for talking about that. I think it's a really important discussion and something that we all need to pay more attention to. On that note, you guys, it is Friday. We are going straight into the weekend. Jackie has to brush up on her bowling skills, and I got to go to Vegas. So we'll see you guys later. Don't forget to subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, hit that thumbs up, and we'll see you Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye, you guys.